Sports are so good, you guys. I mean, so good. Happy Friday, America. I got to ask the question. I'm going to ask it to you because $1 and a donut says Lonzo correctly was so embroiled in football last night but that he didn't see it. Did anybody else cry during the intro to the Field of Dreams game last night? Because I did. Absolutely did. No shame. Judge me. Pull my man card. Whatever you want to do. I could not care less what your judgment of me is. But the intro to last year's Field of Dreams game had a great intro. Remember Kevin Costner walked out of the cornfield and he was carrying the baseball and he walked out to the infield. And then the players from the two teams last year, the White Sox and the Yankees, both walked out of the cornfield together next to each other and into the infield and shook hands with Kevin Costner. And then Kevin gave this great speech about, baseball is the backbone of America, et cetera, et cetera. Last night was something special, man. The intro started with a young man and his dad walking through the cornfield talking baseball, and then over walked Ken Griffey Jr. and gave the kid a wave, and the kid tossed the ball over to KG, over to the kid, and then the kid walked out of the cornfield, and who walked out right behind him but Ken Griffey Sr., and then the kid and senior had a toss out in center. And then out from the cornfield come more kids and their parents, more kids and their dads. And they just started having a toss in center field. And, but I'm again, make fun of you. I'm genuinely misting up right now thinking about it.
See, and all I can think of, and I thought about this on the way in, I know I didn't watch it, was if you build it, he will come. What if he is he who walks behind the rows? What if it's actually children of the corn that walks out of there instead of...
Why would you ruin this soliloquy from me, Lonzo?
Why
would you ruin this take from me?
He wants you to, Malachi.
I'm genuinely sitting here like having an emotional moment. Lonzo's like, I can take a crap on this. Watch this. Watch this. Challenge accepted.
By the way, this is not, I actually had this thought on the way in. It's like, what an idea to combine the two. It would be amazing.
Next year.
Suddenly the corn starts moving in the background.
Field of Dreams 3, The Awakening. So Griff and Senior come out and have a toss. And then these kids and their dads come out and they're having a toss out at center field. And I will acknowledge it hits a little home for me. For those of you that don't know the backstory of the Rob Brown, I lost my old man to cancer when I was just 25. But, baseball was a huge part of our relationship, just like it is for so many sports-loving Americans, right?
I love the movie, by the way, Field of Dreams. I thought it was a great movie. Only watched it once because never knew my dad, so it kind of hits me a little bit worse.
Yeah.
So those kind of movies I kind of stay away from because of that emptiness.
Yeah.
So,
I get it. And in a different angle, lost my old man when I was a kid. Well, I was a kid. I was 25, but I was a kid.
I was still a kid, yeah.
And, baseball was a huge part of our relationship. My dad coached my Little League teams when I was growing up. I've told you, how many times have I told you guys a story about I wore my cap backwards to take BP at an all-star game one time, and my old man benched his own kid because I would not turn my hat around because Ken Griffey Jr. took BP with his hat backwards. And if the kid could do it, so could the third, right? So my old man benched me. But I'll tell you, I still think back to that. And despite the fact that with the flat-billed hat and the glasses and the jerseys to everything, I still learned a lesson from that moment about the importance of showing, especially when you were in a position like being the coach's kid, of showing that you did the little things to be a part of a team, right? being a part of a team is only successful if everybody does every little thing at its core correctly and does it together. Because the minute that folks start doing their own thing away from the team doesn't work anymore, right? My old man taught me a lot of lessons through baseball. And even when we got older, into my teens, and was still playing high school ball, well, high school travel ball, but was still tossing the rock, my old man still came to games. Even when he had a billion other things to do to run whatever businesses he was running at the time, he was there and continued to teach me lessons through baseball. And then when my old man got sick, started having to do chemo and radiation and experimental surgeries and all that just to be alive. When Pops had to do chemo every other week, and every time he did, it put him down for 6 to 10 days. So basically, 60% of his life was spent on the couch yakking. I still would sit down with the old man on the old green leather couch that we had because reasons, and would watch baseball with him, right? Whatever game was on, we'd watch baseball together. So to see those kids come out of the cornfield, to see that moment where arguably the most famous father-son combination in baseball history, the Griffs came out and had a toss together at center field, and then were followed by a bunch of other kids and their pops having a toss. Man, I'm not going to lie. I lost it. I watched it again 10 minutes before we came on the air. I won't lie to you. I sat in the office and was like, all right, I got to compose myself before I go in there and Lonzo cracks on me again. It was incredible. Incredible. I'll be real. I watched, 9, 10, 11 outs of that game in total because there was preseason football on, right? There was football on. Giants-Patriots last night. I sat down to watch that game. Ravens-Titans, I put that game on the laptop.
You made me feel lesser then. I don't think I'm going to participate in the rest of the show.
Stop it. Keegan said, I opened up the stream to roast baseball, and you started quietly talking about your dad, or started talking about your dad, so I'm going to sit here quietly. Listen, if you are not a baseball guy, I can see how that moment was, pardon the pun, Lonzo, corny. All right? If you're not a baseball guy, I can see how that moment was corny. I can see how maybe it came across a bit cheesy. But if you were fortunate enough, and I do, trust me, I understand how fortunate I was. I understand not everybody was lucky enough to have the scenario that I had, but if you grew up and had a pops that used sports to teach you life lessons like mine did, specifically baseball like mine did to teach you life lessons, and that intro last night with the kid and his dad meeting the kid and his dad, and then the Griffies having a toss together out in center field before the game, and then all those kids having a toss with their dad. If you were fortunate enough to have a pops who taught you life lessons through baseball like mine did, and that didn't get you a little bit, I don't know why.
You know, this is more of a show ending topic, not a show beginning topic, because now you're going to have to, try to ramp up from here.
I'll
and
pick it back up.
I hope so.
We had 2 NFL games last night. And by the way,
they were both pretty good.
Was it me, Lonzo, or did Malik look like Mike Vick Light a little bit last night?
He looked really good.
Yeah.
He did.
He looked like Mike Vick Light. Now, he looked a little indecisive at times, but he was a rookie playing his first.
I think it's more of a combination of a little Patrick Mahomes in there with some sidearms and some invention. I know Patrick Mahomes has awakened this in a lot of people where they're going, you know what, let me try that.
Yeah.
And when it works, it's great. When it doesn't, it looks stupid. But yeah, from the highlights I saw of what he was doing last night, I was thinking, man, I wish I was watching that game instead of this game, even though the game I was watching wasn't that bad, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. We're going to have some fun talking, but, man, I know it's a show-ending topic. I get it. But you know we like to end on a high on Fridays, right?
Hope so.
We end on a high on Fridays. That's what we do. We send you into the weekend on a high. But
on life, there's nothing synthetic involved that I'm aware of.
That intro last night, man, I sat there on the couch. The lady friend was in the bedroom watching her whatever show she's watching right now.
Her program.
I don't know. It sounds such like a
no. It's really her
an old guy sentence to say.
It's a program.
She was in the back watching her television program.
She's watching her program.
So
I think once you, I'm not saying she's there. I think there is an age that you get where
that their programs
that they become
not shows
because it is a joke around my house. My wife doesn't like it when I call that either.
Yeah, it's a
go
weird,
on and watch a program.
Yeah. So the lady is in the bedroom. She's watching her television program. I'm sitting in the man cave. Guys, I got a pair of TVs, a pair of laptops, and my phone that I can watch whatever I want on. So I've got Giants Patriots on one, on the big TV. On the smaller TV, I've got Titans v. Ravens. And then on the bigger laptop screen, I'm like, oh yeah, the Field of Dreams. I'll say this, they didn't really pimp the Field of Dreams game like they did in recent years. Now, I will acknowledge that I don't watch cable TV anymore, right? I'm pretty much sports or movies full tilt now. But it didn't feel like they pimped the Hall of Fame game this year as much as it did. Maybe not because it was the debut last year and it was an iconic moment. And this year was just kind of like a thing that happened. But I'm scrolling Twitter and the Fox account or whatever it is. It's like, are you watching the Field of Dreams game? It goes live in a minute. Like, yeah, I got enough TVs. Let me pop that on. And I popped that on, and it was kind of interesting because they didn't go straight into the intro, right? They started with Joe Buck with a big drone shot of the fields, and he's like, welcome to Iowa, everybody. That's not how Joe Buck talks, but you get it. And then they went into the intro. They did like a little commercial break, and they came back to the kid and his dad talking about baseball in the midst of the cornfield, and then Griffey, and then Pops Griffey, and then all the kids and their dads. And I'm sitting in the man cave, sitting in the bro cave. I'm leaned back in the gamer chair, which, by the way, I don't understand, Lonzo. I think I got ripped off. I spent like $200 on a nice gaming chair, and I still suck at games. I think I got ripped off.
That's false advertising. That's what that is.
So I'm sitting back in
you
the
should,
gamer
like,
chair.
dial all nines or something.
Sitting back in the gamer chair, and this intro was so good that it pulled my attention away from the two NFL games, right? Pulled my attention away from the games, away from the Red Sox-Orioles game that I also had on the other small screen. I was engrossed in it. And like I said, I know that a lot of it is sentimentality. A lot of it is because I had these personal experiences with my old man and baseball and how important they were together to me. But damn if I didn't sit there with a bourbon neat in hand and start crying watching it. And I accept your judgment, and I don't care.
Did that have anything to do with it? How deep were you into
No, it was my first one.
Okay, because I kind of understand how it works, but
I'm not an emotional drinker. I'm a happy drinker. When I'm drinking, I love everybody.
I'll say, not last night, you weren't.
No, listen, it was not crying out of sadness. I mean, there was a little sadness in that, I lost my dad when I was younger. And I didn't get to watch his, like, I didn't get it. It would have been awesome to share last year's Braves World Series with my dad. Sure, there's sadness that comes with that, but it wasn't tears due to sadness. It was seeing the relationship I had with my dad between Griff and Griff Sr. It was seeing the relationship I had with my dad and how my dad used baseball to teach me about life, playing out on that field and knowing what the relationship was between those kids and those dads, and those kids and those dads that are going to have that memory together forever about the time they had a toss on the Field of Dreams before a major league game and they got to watch it together. It was knowing all of the little life lessons that game was teaching those kids with the help of those dads, and they got to share that moment together. Yeah, it got me. It got me.
Benjamin says the gaming chair needs an 11-year-old in it to make it work right. And I think you're wrong. There was an 11-year-old in the chair, just like there's a 9-year-old in my chair when I sit in it.
Yeah.
We're in radio because we don't want to grow up.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I mean, it's you didn't intend to make that a very poetic point, Lonzo, but you did. There was an 11-year-old sitting in that chair last night. There was an 11-year-old Rob Brown sitting in that chair. There was a Shalimar Little League / Meg's Middle School pitcher / third baseman sitting in that chair. And thinking back to Pops benching me in a game because I wouldn't turn my hat around, to Pops making me run extra after practice because I didn't leg out a triple because I didn't want to risk getting thrown out, and I ignored him as the third base coach because I wanted a double on the stat sheet because I was 0-2 and I did not want to end a game 0-3. So I pulled up at second despite him telling me to go in a tie baseball game. I pulled up at second, and what did Bob Brown Jr. do? Pinch runner, and Rob Brown got sat for the rest of that game. Why? Because I told you to go, the team needed you on third, and I was going to risk the out at third to get our game winner on third. And the fact that you didn't do it, you made a you decision. You made a stat line decision. Even as 11 or whatever I was when this situation happened, you made a you decision to put yourself on the stat sheet instead of a team decision to risk getting tossed at third to put the winning run at the house where I was going to put a squeeze play down, right? There was an 11-year-old sitting in that chair last night, drinking a bourbon and crying at a baseball game because I am a real man. Get at me, dog. Get at me. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very busy show for you today. We do have a pair of games to talk about last night. We had the Ravens and the Titans, and I am going to tell you, while Malik Willis got pulled earlier than Mike Vrabel planned on it, Vrabel said he wasn't throwing the ball, and I wanted him to. I don't know what the hell Mike Vrabel was talking about. Dude was 6 of 11. 2 or 3 of them were like, damn, Malik throws. And the couple of times that Malik maybe did pull the ball before Mike would have wanted him to, he looked like Mike Vick light.
All right, maybe the lesson that you were just talking about is a lesson that he just gave to Malik. Maybe he told him to do something and he didn't do it, so he pulled him. Or, I'm not going to grab the conspiracy music because it's over there. Or he pulled him because he was suddenly starting to outshine the starting quarterback. maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe people were like, why isn't this guy starting? Yeah. Ryan Tannehill, we don't need that guy in there. We need Malik in there.
Malik looked all right.
Would you pull a guy who's looking too good? I would. Man. If it's going to cause a problem with the fans and with the team.
Malik looked good. We're going to talk about that. You'll notice I haven't said scores of these games because I don't care. Although the Ravens have won 21 consecutive preseason games.
Did they win last night?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I saw the Malik highlights. I didn't care who won.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't care who won.
Or maybe I just knew it was a given.
Listen, the only thing, the final score doesn't matter. What does matter is, obviously, coaches want to see what the temperament of their team is in a high-pressure situation, right? Like Giants-Patriots last night, 21-20 in favor of the G-Men. Giants-Patriots was interesting because the Giants had the ball down a pair inside a minute, and we got to see the temperament of the backups in a high-pressure situation. They drive down the field. Graham Gano, you didn't, came out and knocked through the game winner. At that part matters, but it's not so much about the final score, it's the temperament of the team, and we got to see a little bit out of those squads last night. So we're going to talk about all of that and more. It is going to be a busy show, and I promise you, like Barney Stinson says, it's all rice.
I'm working on it, man. We'll bring this thing up. We will.
The professor of perfection, the wizard of wave, the great one, Lonzo, is at the helm. My name is Rob Brown, and ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
So when I put together the football promos for Saturday, I realized I had never tagged the Fan Upstate. And it took me a couple of times to figure out exactly how I wanted to do it.
You had never tagged the Fan Upstate?
So I tag all the promos. I put the tag on the end. I have never said the Fan Upstate on a promo yet until now. Not a big deal for you, obviously, because you don't get why it's a big deal for me, but it was a big deal because when you're so used to saying what we used to say, and now,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. and I'm just used to tagging that way, and it just didn't sound right. So finding that right sound. Maybe I should do it the Carter Bryant way.
Upstate. All right, stream. Hang on one second. Be right back. All right, what's up, everybody? Ben, welcome in, buddy. Happy Friday to you, pal. That's the other one. My mom watched soap operas when I was a kid, but she never called them stories. But I've heard it called stories before. Oh, Lord. I saw the door open, and I looked, and you weren't there, and then I looked that way, and you weren't walking. It's just this all the time, you guys. It's just this all the time. All the time. Game Cheer needs an 11-year-old and it's yeah, and you have to throw out insults about the person who kills you's mom every time. That's how that works.
I'm just guessing here that Rob's never seen Children of the Corn because I dropped some knowledge, some Children of the Corn knowledge. He had no idea what I was talking about. Children of the Corn. It is a horror movie, and he's not into that. So when I said he who walks behind the rose, he had no idea what I was talking about. He doesn't know who Malachi is. I tweeted it and it got retweeted. So someone knew what I was talking about. Chances are, when was Children of the Corn out? You may not have been born yet.
I don't think I was.
Child.
Or if it was, I was very young.
$1984.
Yeah, I was not born.
It's not an excuse, but a reason, I guess. I believe he who walks behind the rose was actually Satan. That's who that was. It was the devil. You don't actually see him. You see the corn moving and people die. So it's like Far Cry 5, but with corn. I thought that was a reference you might actually get because I know you played Far Cry 5, so and beat it.
Yes, I did.
Yes, so it's like that, but with corn. There's a cult that worships corn, but the corn is not actually corn; it's actually Satan. It's a Stephen King thing. So,
Stephen King roof? Showed in the corner?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Now I got to look it up because now you made me think that I'm wrong. And, I don't. Yes. That's what I thought. Booter. All right, so if you're watching on stream, obviously you're hearing me talking. That was dumb for me to say that. You see that roles are reversed right now. Rob is laid back, lethargic, reflective, and I'm over here jittery about to drop something. I mean, I don't know what's going on here, except for it's Friday. I apologize for using a word like lethargic because that's, out of my range,
Good word.
supposedly. Well, that's just ridiculous. Science has proven that backing into a parking spot makes you a cooler person and way better than everybody else. That's got to be sarcasm because it's come from Barstool. If you're a backer, I don't get you.
I do back into spots, but it's 100% situationally based. And away we go, the Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Rob Alonzo with you today. 844 fan phone. 844-326-3663. I wanted to get to this yesterday, but I did not get a chance. That is not true. I got plenty of chances to and just didn't do it. So I'll get to it today. But, ladies and gentlemen, we told you 2 days ago that there was a new television deal that had been signed between the B1G and a couple of outlets that was going to bring fat stacks to mega conference number 1 or 2, whichever way you look at it. I would say 2. Because the SEC grabbed Texas and Oklahoma, led to USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. Mega conference numero dos. And I told you.
They the twos, we the ones. And yeah, no.
And I told you at the time that I thought that deal was muy bien for.
That means a lot, right?
Mucho.
Sorry, turds.
That it was very good for Notre Dame. For a couple of reasons. Number one, NBC has picked up the rights to Big Ten games. NBC still does hold the rights to Notre Dame games, which now means that Notre Dame will still get the prime slot on NBC, but they will also carry the rights to other Big Ten games. And that gets increasingly more valuable when USC and UCLA get added to the mix. So Notre Dame now has a separate platform that they can have their name dropped on, which is other Big Ten games. It also benefits the Big Ten in that Big Ten games are now going to be advertised during Notre Dame games, right? If you're a Notre Dame guy watching every Irish game on NBC, you are going to get now inundated with Big Ten matchup advertisements. And while a lot of Big Ten or a lot of Notre Dame folks may go, shut up about the Big Ten, I'm tired of hearing about the Big Ten, the reality is the more you're inundated with something, even if you're against that thing, statistically speaking, you're more likely to check it out, right? Because even if you're anti a thing, you're like, all right, I've heard about this so much, let me see what this is about. It is the college football version of Rob deciding to download a pressure washer simulating video game and has now dumped about 18 hours of fake pressure washing into it.
All right, so I
did a Ferris wheel last night.
I was on Game Pass for a while early, went and watched football, came back. Rob was on the pressure washer early, came back after 11. Rob was on the pressure washer again.
Yep.
So I'm guessing like pressure washed the entire state of Idaho.
I did a Ferris wheel and a carousel last night. I'm working my way through a theme park.
Do you progress? I mean, do you win this game?
You upgrade equipment.
I mean,
there's like a whole story that goes on in the background of this little town that you're in. And they drop. So there's like there's a political controversy going on in the backdrop of this game as you play it, and you pick up little Easter eggs about what's actually happening as you're doing the work.
So this is probably a dream, and you're actually after the apocalypse.
I don't know.
And you're just remembering what it was like to just be a regular guy, and now you're like starving or something.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, they dropped a volcano into the middle of town as a justifiable reason for why everything in the town needs to be pressure washed, and I keep going.
Hence my apocalyptic.
Yeah, you might not be wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got inundated with videos about a pressure washing game. Now I'm invested in it, even though I said before I started, and still say while I'm playing, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But that's the point. That's what's good for Notre Dame. That's what's good for the Big Ten, right? Well, it wasn't just good for the Big Ten. I told you it was good for Notre Dame. Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director at Notre Dame, said, and I quote, "It's also perfect for Notre Dame. We need NBC to have more college football to more effectively promote our games and to talk about our games and to have NBC be seen in that light. So that was great for us that NBC got a big pick of this," end quote.
Yeah, but doesn't that hurts Notre Dame though? Because when you think of NBC, you think Notre Dame.
Sure.
Now that they're picking up other college, it's no longer NBC is Notre Dame.
I disagree. Yeah, you're going to think more college football with NBC. I think it's the other way around. When you think Notre Dame, you think NBC, right? If you're going to watch Notre Dame football, it's on ding, ding, ding. It's on the Peacock, right? So, or is that CBS? No, it's NBC, right? Isn't NBC the Peacock?
NBC is the Peacock.
That's what I thought.
Yes, it is.
So when you think Notre Dame, you think NBC. Now when you think Big Ten, you're going to think NBC. Guys, it's a step. I am not going to hot take this and go, this is it, Notre Dame's going to the Big Ten. But NBC has just put Notre Dame and the Big Ten in the room together, right? Step number one of a relationship is the old meet cute, right? You know what that is? It's a TV show reference. It's a theater reference. The meet cute is how the two romantic interests first meet each other for the first time, sometimes coincidentally, sometimes they're set up. But this is the meet cute for Notre Dame and the Big Ten. And NBC ain't no fool, right? Because NBC has the rights to Notre Dame and the Big Ten. If they can put Notre Dame, the prettiest girl on the street, next to the Big Ten, who maybe they're not the starting quarterback, right? That's the SEC. But they are the starting wide receiver or running back. Their name's in the paper a lot. So NBC has now set Notre Dame and the starting running back up. They're at a party together, and they said, hey, NBC, this is Notre Dame. Hey, Notre Dame, this is the Big Ten. Hey, Big Ten, this is Notre Dame. I think you guys would get along and hit it off. I just wanted to introduce you. And now Notre Dame is looking at NBC and going, dang, boo, you looking good. And NBC's looking at Notre Dame like, hey, you kind of fly, huh? Right? So now they're sitting in the room together. Hey, Big Ten, how you doing? I see you over there with all that money. Looks like you could take good care of me. Hey, Notre Dame, how you doing? Now, I gotta tell you, I've been seeing you play on Saturdays, flaunting them gold helmets in front of us all. You look good. What do you say you and me, we take our hundreds of millions of dollars and we get out of here? How you feel about that? I like that in this situation, there's two Barry Whites talking to each other.
I mean, you hit a base level that caused me to have to turn you up. That's some deep stuff right there. That's what that is.
Hey, Notre Dame. Hey, Big Ten. I think you two are going to get along just fine. I'm going to leave y'all alone. Let me just light these candles before I get out of here. Some fresh roses on the table, along with about $700 million worth of television revenue. What do you say y'all just have a little conversation and see how it all works out, baby? That's all I got. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Someone's driving around with the 10s getting some vibration going. Whoa, 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 whoa.
God, I'm stupid. All right, so anyway, Swarbrick acknowledges the Big Ten looks real good right now. NBC looks real good right now. And when they look good, we look good.
Doesn't work as well without the music.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. It's just creepy without the music. Point is, I told you 2 days ago, that setup's great for Notre Dame. It's great for the Big Ten. It's great for NBC because now they are all sitting on the couch sipping champagne together, a little bit of the bubbly. And now they're in the room. They're having the conversation. This is bad news for the SEC, but it may actually be good news for the ACC. I'm going to tell you why when we come back here in just a minute. Text on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with fan. Says, Rob, I need a cigarette after that segment. We'll be right back, y'all. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. See, this is why when people call me an idiot, I agree with them.
I think when a wonderful segment happens, you shouldn't downgrade it into something because it was an amazing thing, and now you're just trying to put it down, and you shouldn't do that because that's what this show is. I'm about to tweet about the fact that we talked about gaming chairs, and now I'm getting a ton of gaming chair stuff on Twitter.
Really?
Yes. About why gaming chairs are bad for you while gaming.
Screw you, website.
And it's TikTok, which means China's listening, which I already kind of knew that anyway, but
Courtney has sent me a website that does digital jigsaw puzzles. And I fear that she has just awakened something inside of me.
I've always been a puzzle guy, but I think I'd rather have the physical form.
I think I would too, but I'm fascinated by the concept. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres? Muchas gracias.
Also known as Barry Eggshell. I mean, depending on how you look at it. Barry Eggshell is a little less obvious, you know.
I don't know Barry Eggshell.
You're not looking at the...
Oh, at the stream. That wasn't... Whatever, Skrilla, you liked it.
I don't want to look up other versions of white, so I'm just going with Eggshell.
I respect that. That was mediocre funny, and you know it.
Well, it would have been funnier if someone actually got it, but you know. Diesel and I have a game about, you know, what we can say and Rob won't notice.
You do? Clearly, you're both very good at it.
Hey, you're trying to do a show over there. It's not your job to listen to everything I say. Because probably 75% of it's pretty stupid, but that's okay. That's what I get paid for. That and I push buttons well.
You
No,
do push buttons real good.
Yeah, I just jinxed myself. I'm just gonna have one of those days the rest of the days, but luckily the boss isn't here. Doesn't mean he's not listening, though.
I was going to say, that's a risk I'm not taking.
I am, because I push it till I get a text. That's how I've always done things. Very opaque. That sounds too artsy, though.
Opaque? No, opaque's a good word.
No, very opaque.
Oh.
Hello, I'm very opaque. I mean, it just. Agreed, Seb. Let's not let him get too excited or anything. Just keep him calm and even so he can continue doing what he's doing.
Gotta stay mellow, bro.
Talking about Triple H here. We gotta keep him calm.
You really do. That's
Yeah. Loving the direction things are going. Don't get too excitable. Don't think, you know what, maybe I got one more in me. No, just stay back there and do the managing thing. Exactly, Josh. That's what Barry Opaque sounds like. Sounds like a place that Rob would visit in downtown Greenville. It's hip, it's happening, you know, that sort of thing.
All right. Last segment of hour number 1. Relax, Lonzo. Why are you so on edge right now?
You went from Barry to that. It was the contrast was painful.
Well, I can't do the whole show like this.
Well, you could.
I could.
Yeah.
It'd probably be my last show.
Nah, the boss isn't here. So, I mean, there's that.
You know what I realized? You know, last night I got an email from the folks up at Big Odyssey, right? Like big, like suit, like the suit and tie Odyssey. Anybody in this building wear a suit and tie? All right? That's why we like doing this.
I will tell you that I believe that Big Boss Steve looks excellent in a suit and a tie. You know,
Yeah, but he doesn't come to the office.
He looks almost presidential.
Almost. But nobody comes to this office in a suit and tie. It's one of the
Can
reasons.
you kiss up without sounding sarcastic?
No, you can't do it. You can't,
I know,
especially.
I know I can't.
Some people may be able to. It's not you. Anyway, where was I going with this?
I just completely. You were talking about the big dogs up at Odyssey.
I got an email last night from Suit and Tie Odyssey, and when you get an email that says to Rob Brown from corporate, that goes one of two ways: real good or real bad. This one went real good because, ladies and gentlemen, I was alerted last night.
We regret to inform you that you are no longer an employee of Odyssey of Greenville or whatever we're called now.
You may meet security tomorrow at 1:30 to pick up your belongings. That's not what they told me.
Hey, by the way, security right over here.
That's not, it's not what they told
Let
me.
me help you out the office.
What they did tell me, ladies and gentlemen, was that you may now subscribe to the Views from Mint Street podcast on Apple Podcast and Spotify. You may go to Apple Podcast. You may go to Spotify. You may search Views from Mint Street. It will be Odyssey's exclusive Carolina Panthers podcast hosted by yours truly. And first off, I'm super pumped that this podcast is launched. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be great stuff. We got a lot. Plus, Odyssey is backing us with resources to make this podcast as good as it can be. The email basically told me, Rob, we brought you on board because we expect to make this the #1 Panthers podcast in the country. And we are going to put the resources behind that to make it happen. Well, step one is done. You can grab the Views from Mint Street podcast live on Apple and Spotify. If you are a Panthers fan, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify right now. Search Views from Mint Street. Or if you're just a me fan, all 6 of y'all, go to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, search Views from Mint Street, and click follow and subscribe. The trailer episode is just a little 2-minute, 45-second introduction from yours truly is live. Episode #1, in which we will recap training camp, and spring game #1 will launch next Wednesday morning, I believe. Anyway, we got the podcast up. Super excited about that. And if you're a Panthers fan, you want to get there. And obviously, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. We are going to be getting into this week's preseason game against the Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. We're going to be getting into the QB battle a little bit. I'll probably, just to aggravate some people, bring up the potential for a Roquan Smith, DJ Moore trade. Sorry, Robbie Anderson trade. Et cetera, et cetera. I'm also going to talk, and it'll be a retrospective since it's next week, but Matt Rule yesterday said that he will not tell us who the starting quarterback is going to be for the preseason opener. He is not going to tell us who the starter is. He did tell us, however, that he expects both Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold to get, quote, 6 to 8 plays, end quote. So they will run a series or two based on how that series goes. He did also go on to say that most of the team's starters will play between 8 and 15 plays, depending on performance, and that rookie Matt Corral and backup PJ Walker are both expected to see most of the reps at quarterback. And that's unsurprising to me, right? For a couple of reasons. Game #1 of the preseason, ordinarily, you don't see the starters go long minutes, right? We didn't see it last night out of the Giants. We saw Daniel Jones in there for a little while. We saw Mac Jones in there for, 2 series, and that was really it.
So what we're going to see Baker throw it down the field, the very first pass, score a touchdown, go sit down, and then we're going to watch Sam Darnold throw
50 checkdowns.
5-yard passes, get somebody hurt, and then go sit down.
Maybe. Maybe. The reason that you are going to see both of the backups get hefty minutes is very simple. Baker Mayfield will be on this team. Whether you believe that he will be the starter or not is irrelevant. Baker Mayfield will be on this team. Sam Darnold will be on this team. Does not matter if you believe he'll be the starter or not. Sam Darnold will be on this team. The Panthers are not going to carry 4 quarterbacks on the active roster. They're going to carry 3. The only question is going to be, who is number 3? Now, the easy answer is it's Matt Corral. It's Matt Corral. You didn't draft that dude to bring him in and have him be on the practice squad for a year. You brought him in to learn the game. And if things go sideways for Carolina down the stretch, then you brought him in to eventually replace those 2 guys, get him some late season minutes, and get him ready for next year. So that's interesting. But the question is P.J. Walker the guy? Is P.J. Walker also going to be on the roster? And the answer to me is no. I feel for P.J. P.J. had a good run. P.J. had good minutes in Charlotte when they needed him in emergency situations, etc. But when it comes down to it, P.J. Walker gave it a hell of a go. There's just not room for him anymore. The only reason, well, not the only reason, you're not going to see Bacon Sam all that much because you don't need to, right? You don't need to. They're not going to be going up against the number 1s of the Washington Commanders, all that often. They're not going to go up against that starting defense. So you've got what you got out of training camp from these 2 cats, and that's what you're going to have, right? Until week 2, when most NFL teams are going to give their starters usually a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half before they get yanked. What Matt Rule is looking for here is very simple. What Matt Rule is looking for here is who's going to be wearing the headphones as the 3rd stringer, as the QB coordinator on the bench when Baker and Sam are out there fighting for starting reps. PJ or Matt Corral? The answer is Matt Corral, but he just wants to see it. That's it. That's the reason. It's really not much more complicated than that. Let's take a break. 1 hour in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Just 2 hours stand between us and the weekend. By us, I mean me and Lonzo. You guys got to keep working. Sucks to be you. But we'll entertain you for those 2 hours the best we can. He's the great one. I'm Rob, and you're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Oh, sorry, Skrilla. Baker! I didn't say it correctly. You are correct. Sam, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you, my guy. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to start that. We are a week away from the start of high school football. LFG, as the kids say.
Yes, we are.
Ben says only dress up when you take home awards. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate for us. Pretty accurate for us. Triple H versus Flair would be a literal death match. One of them would die. Did you see the story yesterday? There were wrestlers at the show claiming that Ric Flair genuinely passed out twice during the match.
I didn't see that, but it's not surprising.
Trey said, my uncle is the sheriff in Spartanburg. I jokingly asked him if he could fly Rob Brown down to the game in the helicopter. He dropped in a game, one time after some official business. Ordinarily, Trey, and I appreciate that greatly, even as a joke.
You'd be in good hands. You would. You absolutely would.
Ordinarily, I'm against, that would be, I would consider that a waste of taxpayer dollars. In this case, I would gladly waste those tax, but to fly to a Burns game in a helicopter, arrive via chopper would be amazing.
If he was going there anyway, I mean, you just kind of
happens to be dropping it on another game.
Kind of catch a ride. Sure.
I will give him a seat in the press box. He can be my color guy that day.
Josh wants to know who our favorite '80s wrestlers of all time is. Mine's Sting.
Sting in the '80s?
Yes.
Pre-black and white face paint Sting? You talking color and blonde Sting?
Yes.
Was your favorite '80s wrestler?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. Did not know that.
I've told a story on the air about seeing him outside of the Ohio State Fair arena, greeting a bunch of kids afterwards and stuff. I just thought that was really, Cool. None of the other wrestlers were doing it.
I would say it's either Hacksaw or Bonesaw. Macho Man. I'm still a Macho Man guy. Have you seen the clip going around about Macho Man on?
It was trending yesterday. Yeah. I've seen it before. Yeah,
it's a great clip, man. I'm gonna start playing that and listening to that at the beginning every day. That's gonna be my motivational speech. Oh yeah. Look at me and Skrilla sharing one. I loved Hacksaw. Still love Hacksaw. Ho! Hacksaw was just a big dumb guy who did the right thing. I love that.
When he was at Comic-Con, no one talked to him. I felt so bad for him.
I'd have sat there at his booth.
Yeah,
for as long as
he had a booth out. It wasn't an autograph booth. He had one out on the floor.
Yeah.
Him and a couple other guys. No one talked to him.
I'd have sat there the whole time. I'd have sat there.
All right, so no one talked to him while I was around. It doesn't mean it didn't.
People didn't see Hacksaw and flip.
I think some people didn't know who it was.
Well, I'm sure.
Gotta admit, I never understood the tough guy thing. So, I mean,
The tough guy thing?
He said tough guy to people. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh. That was like his ending thing. Instead of brother, he would say tough guy. Okay. All right, I was making the Diesel thing up, but now you're making it sound like that maybe it's true.
I had already gotten Hacksaw out of the brain because I'm making fun of my sister-in-law.
Oh, okay. I hate to interrupt you, but we, show time.
Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. It is great to be with y'all. Thank you for letting me hang out with you every day. We appreciate it sincerely. My name is Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, sits across the metaphorical glass from me. We are jacked to have you along for the show with us. Fan phone is open for you at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. The Preferred Home Services text line is there for you as well at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN at 71307, and we will read your text live on the air. Shout out to the Rob Brown Armada, the official sports talk radio show of delivery truck drivers around the upstate. Want to send a special hola to them. It's still, in fact, I was laughing the other day. Lonzo. I guess about 2 weeks ago. I was at, where were we? The lady friend and I were out somewhere. I don't know. We were shopping. Oh, we were at a little shopping center over in Cherrydale because we were, putting together our last minute shopping before we went on vacay. And I was walking in and there was a delivery truck for a local business in the parking lot of the store. And the guy was just sitting in the truck hanging out. And I listened while I by his doors open, and he was listening to the Fan Upstate. So I'm like, that dude's in the Armada. I didn't say anything because we were in a hurry, and the lady friend hates when we're in a hurry and I strike up conversations because I do not, Lonzo, I don't know how to bow out of a conversation gracefully when it's time to go, right? If you talk to me and you don't know how to, end the conversation until we just run out of stuff to talk about, we will be locked in an endless loop because I don't know how to gracefully. I don't know how to go, hey, man, it was super nice to meet you, but I gotta run because I feel like a jerk when people want to talk to me.
You should employ the Lonzo method, which is mind going blank.
Just start staring at your shoes.
And people can see it. Like, oh my God, he has nothing else to say. And then you just kind of walk away.
There comes a point where that happens sometimes. There really does. Anyway.
That is not to discourage people from coming up and saying, hey, when you see either one of us. Yes.
Please do. Especially do it.
So if you wanted to, if you got just a little bit of time, come and meet me. If you got a lot of time, come and meet Rob. So there you go.
Especially if Lonzo's eating. He loves that. He loves when people come say hi to him at dinner.
Yeah, just hover. Just stand there and watch.
Texture says, fan currently delivering beer. Cheers. Cheers, mate. You are doing yeoman's work for the upstate right now. Howdy to you, whoever you are. Sign your name on that text. I'll give you a shout out. I'll give you the old personal shout out. We appreciate it. So what up to the Rob Brown Armada? Good to have you guys along for us, with us. All right, let's get some stuff in here, shall we? We've talked USA Today polls over the past couple of weeks, right? We've talked USA Today polls. We talked about the USA Today media poll earlier this week. Clemson checking in number 4 in the USA Today coaches poll. Welp, USA Today has a group of writers that have been putting together a lot of different polls. And they released their conference-by-conference quarterback rankings, including the ACCs. And, Lonzo, before I tell you, give me your guess. Where does DJ Uiagalelei check in on the USA Today poll for ACC quarterback power rankings? Where's DJ check in?
Just for ACC.
Just for the ACC. 14 QBs. Where does DJ check in?
All right, I'm not going to go with what I think it is. I'm going to go with what I think they'll do, and I'm going to go with 3.
3, okay. By the way, that texter was Will out in Boiling Springs slinging brewskis. Will, appreciate you, my guy. Thank you, man.
Spread the word of the Rob Brown Show to the rest of the people who also deliver.
And if you can tell me where I can find Sweetwater IPA, I will be grateful. Those are the 2 things I need from you, Will. Appreciate you, big guy.
What is this, a hard to find thing, or?
It's not. I love Sweetwater IPA, and the 420 is pretty good too. Bro. But I anytime I find it, it's ridiculously expensive. But maybe that's just because I drink good beer.
You just signed a new contract, dude. You're rolling.
Yeah, let's go with that. Number 1 in the ACC quarterback power rankings, according to the USA Today, is Devin Leary from NC State. They've got him ranked as the ACC preseason player of the year. 3,433 yards last year, a 35-5 touchdown to pick ratio, and completed just a tick shy of 65.7% on the year. He did lose Emeka Emezie, his number 1 target last year, but there's a pretty good wide receiver core at NC State. 9-3 last year, including the double OT win over Clemson and the fourth quarter comeback victory in the rivalry weekend against UNC. Devin Leary, number 1. Number 2, Sam Hartman. Now, the news broke yesterday, a massive bummer that Sam Hartman, has to step away from football for a little while due to a non-football related health issue. And we did hear that he is expected to play at some point this year, but we do not know when he will make his return to the field. Now, Hartman struggled in the ACC championship game. They lost to Pitt 45-21, and he threw 4 picks. But Hartman was voted the All-ACC second-team quarterback for the season. He threw for 4,228 yards last year, 39 TDs to 14 picks, completed just a touch shy of 60%. In an offense that generated 41 points a game. He is a senior this year. He gets back his number 1 wide receiver, A.T. Perry, 71 grabs for 1,293 and 15 TDs last year. Number 3 on the list, and frankly, I thought this guy might have had an argument to be number 2. But Malik Cunningham at Louisville checks in at number 3. Best dual threat quarterback in the ACC, no doubt about last year. The only quarterback last year to rush for 1K yards, 20 rushing touchdowns, best in the league. Also completed 29-41 yards, 19 TDs to 6 picks. If he can throw the ball a little bit better this year, if he gets a little bit better with the pass, Malik Cunningham is a Heisman threat, all right? He's a long shot in the odds, but I genuinely believe Malik Cunningham could be a Heisman threat if he increased his passing knowledge this year. Lonzo picked DJ at number 4, correct? Number 4.
No, I picked
number 3.
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 4, Brennan Armstrong out of Virginia. Threw for more than 400 yards per game last season. Threw more passes than anyone else in the conference. He does have Tony Elliott as his head coach this year. And that's going to be interesting for Brennan. Last year, Virginia was a pass-heavy offense. Tony Elliott, we know, is a more balanced offense guy, which means Brennan Armstrong is probably going to throw fewer passes this year. But when he did throw the ball last year, he was good. Number 5 on this list is also not DJ Uiagalelei. They've got Tyler Van Dyke out of Miami. Last year's ACC Rookie of the Year. Didn't take over the starting spot until late September, but even missing the first handful of weeks as the backup, went on to throw 25 TDs for the Canes. Dude's got talent. Dude's got swag. Miami won 5 of its last 6, including a pair of top 25 wins over NC State and Pitt. Van Dyke finished the 2021 season with 6 straight games of at least 300 yards passing and 3 TDs, becoming the first Power 5 quarterback since Joe Burrow's Heisman Trophy campaign to put that streak on paper. Number 6 is where we find Phil Jurkovec out of Boston College. Jurkovec is a player that, if healthy, could be towards the top of this list. Jeff Hafley at ACC Media Days said that Jurkovec was really only healthy for 1 game last fall, but said that he has full strength coming into 2022. I want you to keep an eye on Jurkovec because he's an NFL-type prototype. He is an NFL-type quarterback, an NFL build, and do put up numbers last year despite, according to his head coach, not being healthy. He is actually considered a eyeballs on guy for NFL scouts. Number 7, DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson. 7th best quarterback in the ACC according to USA.
All right, this is ridiculous. I'm surprised that Cade's not on there. Is he on there?
Nope.
No, I'm shocked they haven't put him on there. All right, so are Clemson fans doing this thing? Is that where this is coming from? He was not that bad. He was not that bad.
2 stats put him here. 2 numbers put him here.
Wow, I'm defending the Clemson quarterback, but I am defending the Clemson quarterback. This is kind of ridiculous. In that bad of a conference, you're saying this guy is that low. I just don't believe that for a second. All right, 2 stats.
2 stats put him here. And those 2 stats are this. 9 touchdowns to 10 picks. Any QB who tosses more TDs than picks is going to get called on the floor, right? They just are. The other reason that he's there is that DJ Uiagalelei had the worst passer rating in the ACC last year. Those are the 2 numbers. Now, we can talk about wide receivers going down to injury. We can talk about the evolution and the importance of Will Shipley as the season went on and how he became kind of the workhorse for that team last year. We can talk about a lot of different things about why he was there. But at the end of the day, the 2021 season ended with DJ Uiagalelei completing fewer than 56% of his passes, which is not awful, for 2,246 yards and 9 TDs to 10 picks. That's it. That's what put him at number 7 on this list. I'm going to tell you, I looked at this number. Now, if you've not been listening to the show this offseason, let me tell you where I stand. I think DJ Uiagalelei is going to be better this year. I told you what I think went wrong last year. I think DJ expected that he was just going to walk onto the field and be the next Kelly Bryant, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. I think he thought that because the last 4 quarterbacks at Clemson have all been exceptionally talented, that if you went to quarterback at Clemson, you just were exceptionally talented. And I think with all due respect to parties involved, that Dabo and his pops, Big Dave, did not help out with that. I think DJ was convinced before he stepped foot on campus that he was the man. I think that he thought before he stepped on campus that he was just going to roll up and be the Heisman Trophy candidate. And I think he got humbled. We talked to DJ, what's it been, 3 weeks? Since we talked to DJ at ACC Media Days in Charlotte, North Carolina. I talked to DJ for 2 or 3 minutes off the air before we went on the air. I talked to him for 2 to 3 minutes after we got off the air. I criticized DJ to his face. I said, look, man, here's what I thought went wrong for you last year. DJ said, I don't necessarily agree with your exact criticisms, but DJ also hinted. In fact, I'll pull that replay and I'll post a recap of it later on because I think it's important. But DJ said, I had some lessons to learn. I had some things I had to get through my head last year. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's what he was talking about. I think those lessons were exactly that.
You know what also bothers me about this? Okay, so the ACC guys have picked him to be so low, but the coaches poll comes out and Clemson's picked to be number 4. And yeah, we know there's disparaging. I mean, the numbers between 3 and 4, but they're still picked to be number 4. So if this guy is so bad, does that mean the rest of college football is so bad that Clemson is actually the 4th best, or that the rest of the team is so good that they're carrying him? And he's better than what he's been given credit for, and he's going to improve this year. And despite Clemson fans clamoring for him to be gone, he's probably going to end up starting the entire year. Because Dabo will give him a chance out of loyalty. He's done before, and he'll come out and prove himself. I hate to see people fail, even for a team that I don't like. I want to see this kid come out and succeed and prove all these guys wrong. But when you're pushed down that low from the ACC guy, that's would you look at that if you're a player right now, how can you avoid things like this with the way social media is and the way just the world is and so many things at your fingertips? Back in the day, you could just not look at the newspaper. But now, how can you not see this and use this as motivation?
You can't, I wouldn't think, right? We used to talk about bulletin board material. We still use the phrase bulletin board material. You don't need bulletin boards anymore, right? Coach could walk in and be like, hey, everybody, grab your Twitter and go look at whatever page. Read their last tweet, right? That's your bulletin board material. I think DJ got humbled. I think he got knocked in the dirt. 9 TDs to 10 picks in the ACC's lowest passer rating. It's not ideal. I think he learned. Look, he still showed up with his big Cinco chain on, right? But I think he learned. I hope. And I think
you got NIL money. You got to spend it on something.
True that.
I mean, you're all for that. Don't criticize him for using some of it for something he likes.
No. I ain't mad at the chain. What I was upset about was that my guy walked in like he had signed a contract with Death Row Records before he played a game.
Or Dr. Pepper. I mean,
whatever.
you know.
Yeah, whatever. But it was more about the fact that I felt like DJ's brand was more important to DJ last year than DJ's quarterback production being the reason that his brand grew last year, right? When you talk QBs with a brand, TB12, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, at the NFL level, when you talk QBs with a brand, why is it that those QBs have a brand? It's because they're good. It's because they're successful. It's because people want to attach their name with performance on the field. Dr. Pepper and Bojangles and whoever else all believe that DJ, because of his brand, was going to perform on the field. He didn't. I mean, he did in spots, but he didn't for what they were giving him. I think he understands that now. I think he gets that now. I think he knows now that if he wants those Dr. Pepper and Bojangles checks to keep cashing, the reason he got it and the reason those organizations will throw cash at him is because DJ's highlights are playing every week. It's because DJ's got 2 ESPN SportsCenter top 10 plays that roll every Monday morning. And then the commercial goes, hi, I'm DJ Uyunglele, and I like regular Dr. Pepper over dark berry Dr. Pepper. That was the scoop we got out of that, by the way. He laughed at that question. I love that he laughed at that question. After I just told him to his face, here's what you did wrong last year. How do you feel? I then asked him, is it good? Is it better regular or is it better dark berry? Because I'm a dark berry guy. I've jumped on the dark berry Dr. Pepper bandwagon. He's like, I'm team regular all day.
I just realized what that was all about just now. I didn't get it when you did it because I'm dense.
What, the Dr. Pepper?
The whole Dr. Pepper question.
Yeah.
I didn't even get it, even though I just mentioned that he's representing Dr. Pepper. I don't know why I didn't get it till just now, but that's fine. You know what? When you finally get it, even if it's like 3 weeks later, at least you get it.
Our buddy Chris Lewis, president of the Greenville Triumph, just texted the show. He said, I saw DJ working out at Clemson about a week ago, and his body looks completely different. He's leaned out and looks more athletic. Sounds like his mentality is very different now, too. I will tell you this. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Alonzo.
No, it's okay.
When Dude rolled up into ACC Media Days, we've interviewed DJ at 2 straight now. Interviewed him last year, interviewed him this year. When DJ rolled up in last year, he looked thick. Talking thick with a pair of C's on the end, right? Thick. He looked beefy. When he rolled in this year, he looked like a quarterback. When we talked to DJ last year, DJ sounded confident to the point of cocky. It wasn't like I didn't walk away from that interview going, God, that kid's cocky. But I did walk away from that interview going, that dude thinks he's good. We'll see if he is. This year, I didn't get that from him. Either direction. When he walked in the suit, he looked like a quarterback. And when I interviewed him, he was absolutely owning what happened last year. He called himself a disappointment last year. He called his season statistically as a quarterback a disappointment last year. The dude sounded mature, way more mature than he did the year before. I think he learned. I think he got humbled up. That being said, DJ belongs at number 7 on this list. He will have to earn a higher level.
I agree. He has to earn it.
I think you can move him to 6 over Phil Jerkovich.
I just think it's kind of slight. And I really have a problem with people who don't believe that someone can grow at their craft. I mean, you and I, our first year compared to you and I now, a lot different. Me, my first year to my second year, a lot different. And that's how it is. A dude is working on it. He knows what his problems are. The coaches are working at it. I think he's going to be better. They saw something in him. The hype that was around him before he got there, that hype was there for a reason. The potential is there. He's going to improve. He's going to do better. I hope he loses the last game of the season, but he's going to do better.
All right. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Clemson fans, take your thoughts. DJ deserves to be number 7 on this list. All right? You can make an argument that I'll listen to that you want to bump him above Phil Jerkovich. I think Jerkovich is here on potential, right? I think he's on potential. He was not healthy last year. Numbers were good, but not healthy. They are ranking him higher than DJ because he's an NFL draft prospect, because he's a prototype. But I can't rank him above Tyler Van Dyke. I can't rank him above Brennan Armstrong. I certainly can't rank him above Malik, Hartman, or Leary. He deserves to be number 7 on this list. Do I think he'll be higher on this list at the end of the year? Hell yeah, I do. But to start the year, DJ deserves to be number 7 and no higher. Let's take a break. We'll come back in a minute. Got some more thoughts to get to. Texture says, fan, losing weight will not make DJ better or faster. Wait till Clemson is up by 20 in the first game. Backup will come in, and DJ will stay on the bench after that. I don't know, man.
Wait. Clemson's up by 20?
Yeah, if DJ puts Clemson up 20, you're going to, what? Did you mean Clemson is down by 20?
Yeah, that's.
And Cade comes in?
Well, no, they do have a history of setting people down when they get a big lead and playing other players. So maybe that's what they meant.
But do you think Cade's going to come in a situation where DJ's put the team up 3 touchdowns and then outperform him?
How many games did Trevor Lawrence actually play in the fourth quarter? So, yeah.
Texas said, if Death Row Records is handing out NIL money, Suge Knight needs a return on investment as fast as possible. Texas says, you have to rank DJ on performance, not expectations. 7 or even lower seems right. I don't know if I go lower. Garrett Schrader out of Syracuse, Jordan Travis, FSU. I don't know about that. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Take us off stream real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to tell you this.
BRB stream. All right, we're hot. All right.
So why do you think Tom Brady left training camp?
Because Tom Brady doesn't need training camp. He's Tom Brady.
Because someone just posted something. It's Triple H and Randy Orton fighting in Randy's house, and said it's just Tom Brady trying to get Gronk to come out of retirement.
He's just hanging on a cruise ship with Gronk right now.
He might be. You don't know.
Be. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in. Great to have you. Rob and Lonzo with you. A couple of NBA stories to get to real quick. I won't spend a ton of time on them because it's football season. But we'll start with this one. Where's Kyrie going to land? We don't know yet, but it might be the LA Lakers. The Lakers apparently are willing to include their 2027 and 2029 first-round draft picks in a deal for Kyrie Irving. Earlier in the offseason, the Nets were offered Russell Westbrook and a pick for Kyrie. The Nets said, yeah, no, we're good. Because I'm assuming they watched Russell Westbrook last year. Decided, no, we're out. We do not know if their stance on that changes, but I'm assuming not, because the reports are out now that the Lakers have been willing to put both of their first rounders, 2027 and 29, on the pick. Remember, the Lakers got rid of a lot of first round draft picks when they got Anthony Davis from the Pelicans, and New Orleans has utilized those first round picks to build a core around Z. So now it looks like they're willing to go even further with that in order to get Kyrie there. And I'm going to tell you, you guys know I'm not a Kyrie guy. Not because I don't think Kyrie is talented. Kyrie is an incredible basketball player. It's because all the crap you got to put up with around Kyrie, right? He put out some ridiculous cryptic message the other day on Twitter because of course he did. Dramatic readings of Kyrie Irving's Twitter. When you're ready to break free from the media's control over your subconscious thoughts and emotions, meet me on one of my platforms and let's chop it up. We, the All 11 tribe, love our conversations about the truth and what is truly happening. Welcome to the paradigm shift. First off, that's John Moxley's finisher. All right, Kyrie. You don't get to just have the paradigm shift. All right, Mox has already got that. Second off, you think the world's flat. I'm not concerned all that much about what you have to say. Then hours after that, at almost 2 o'clock in the morning, he tweeted out the cookie emoji and nothing else. Just a cookie emoji.
Maybe he was hungry for cookies. He never woke up in the middle of the night and went, man, chocolate
maybe.
chip. Just a little. We got it in the fridge? No.
I mean, maybe, but probably not. Anyway, Kyrie would be an upgrade for the Lakers over Russell Westbrook. All right? Lonzo shook his head yes, because I'm right.
I nodded yes.
Yes.
Shook.
He said yes, non-verbally, because I'm right. Kyrie would be an upgrade over Russell Westbrook. Because if there is a dude that's going to be able to keep Kyrie after their paths diverged years ago to keep his head screwed on straight, it's LeBron. So we'll see how that plays out. Second NBA story, and then we'll take a quick break, is that the NBA has retired the number 6 jersey of Bill Russell league-wide. Now, players that are currently wearing number 6, which of course includes LeBron James, will be allowed to keep that jersey on until they change numbers or retire. They'll be grandfathered in. But the NBA is retiring the number 6 jersey league-wide. It is the first time in the league's history that a player's number has been universally retired by every team, which of course speaks to the impact of Russell both on and off the court. LeBron James, Lou Williams, Quentin Grimes, Bryn Forbes, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are the players wearing number 6. They will be allowed to be grandfathered in, but the number 6 will no longer be issued to any future players. Commissioner Adam Silver said in the press conference, quote, Bill Russell's unparalleled success on the court and pioneering civil rights activism deserve to be honored in a unique and historic way. Permanently retiring his number 6 across every NBA team ensures that Bill's transcendent career will always be recognized, end quote. Look, that's cool, man. That's cool. It's a good move from the NBA. It's a good look, right? It doesn't change anything about the game. It's just a tribute to a guy who won 11 of the 13 NBA finals he appeared in, and then went on to have one of the most influential after-career efforts of any NBA player ever. That's awesome. So good on the NBA for making that move. Texter says, Hurricane Jeff texted in, says, wasn't there a conflict between Braun and Kyrie the first time around? Isn't that why Kyrie wanted to go elsewhere in the first place?
There was.
Yeah.
But I think it was more on Kyrie's end. As we were talking about growth earlier, maybe in some ways Kyrie's grown to learn that he can't win without LeBron. It's really not, it's not that hard to figure out. I mean, kind of, but he finally figured it out.
Yeah, there was a...
the earth isn't flat. And I can't win without LeBron James.
Back in May of this year, marked the 5-year anniversary of Kyrie requesting a trade away from Cleveland and being sent to Boston. It had been 5 years, and appearing on an episode of I Am Athlete, Irving said, quote, if I was in the same maturity line and understanding of who I am, and I look back, we definitely would have won more championships because there would have been a better man-to-man understanding about what I'm going through. I didn't know how to share my emotions. We didn't talk during that time, talking about him and LeBron. We didn't talk during that time. When I look back on what I was going through at the time, I wish I did because it would have been a good understanding of what the future will hold for both of us, and we know how much power we both had together. Me and him in the league together running Cleveland and then being able to put a better team together every single year would have definitely been worth it, but for me, I threw all my chips in. So Kyrie expressed regret over the split from Cleveland and LeBron, recognizing that, and I think correctly, LeBron probably is still in Cleveland with Kyrie if Kyrie was a more mature man at the time. The only question mark is, is he? Like, is he though?
All right, so there are different degrees of maturity. You and I have matured. It doesn't mean we're mature. It means we've learned a couple things. I mean, you can mature in certain areas and not in all areas. There are some areas I'm never going to mature in, and I'm fine with that. I'm never going to give up video games. I'm never going to give up certain things that I like that some people say are not adult. See 3 to 7. Anyway, you can mature and not. You can mature in certain areas of your life and not be completely mature because it's just it's opinion. And he's right. If he stayed there, people would have wanted to go there.
Oh yeah,
and would have wanted to play there.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
But there are a lot of times we think, you know what? I don't need that other guy. I can do this on my own. And there are some people who just need somebody else. They can't do it on their own. That's just it's a fact of life. Sometimes you think, dude, this guy's holding me back or this girl's holding me back. If I go over there, I can be the thing. And then you go over there and find out, no, I was more complete when I was with that person or company or whatever.
Yeah. I think all of us in this business have seen it happen, right? We've all seen it happen. All I'm going to say is I think Kyrie understands what he did wrong. The only question I have is he really more mature or is he just saying he's more mature? And the only person that's going to be able to answer that is going to be Kyrie. The question is, if you're the Lakers, are you gambling on that, right?
Yes. Yes, you are.
I absolutely would. If it gets Russell Westbrook off the floor and Kyrie on it to be LeBron's partner, hell yeah, I make it. Hell yeah, I gamble. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we'll get into... It broke earlier this week. I was out of town, so I haven't gotten a chance to get into it, mainly because I wanted to take some time to put some thought into it. Roger Goodell says that the Miami Dolphins never tried to tank. And there's a lot of people that just bought into that. But the second worst looking party, if it comes out that an NFL team did indeed actually tank, is Roger Goodell in the NFL. Let's break down what he had to say about that. We got more college football coming up around the corner. And we'll get into a lot of Panthers news to start hour number 3. All that coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Not yet, Keegan, but you better believe we will. Because if I've ever had a chance to get, well, Alonzo's working. He can't come. Saturday night's Triumph match is Star Wars themed.
I'm going to be working a lot coming up.
How come, Alonzo?
You're working an awful lot coming up. I'm going to get that pull-away bed I've always wanted in here.
We got the new TV. Can we get a new couch in here, too?
No, a couch right underneath that would work. I might need it.
Actually, I kind of do want a couch in here now that we've said that.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be cool.
Did you see the video of Danhausen and Punk at the Comic-Con?
It showed up on my feed. I didn't watch it, but
I haven't listened to Danhausen's podcast, so I don't know a lot about it. But apparently there's a running gag between the two of them that Danhausen claims that he invented the GTS and Punk stole it, and so Punk owes him. And instead of royalties, he just gets Punk to buy him stuff. And so he has Punk buying him like $2,000 and $3,000 comic books at a Comic-Con, and Punk just looks like an angry, frustrated dad while Danhausen geeks out over comics. It's very funny. Also, Danhausen and Redbeard. Yes. Beardhausen. Danhausen is a wrestling legend, and I've never watched him actually wrestle.
well, he's not really that good, at least so far. He is coming back from injury. I've seen him hit a couple moves, and that's it. I hope he's better than what we've seen. His act is great, but I think he got to be able to wrestle a little bit.
His act is spectacular.
Even what's his name with the snake sock? Why am I forgetting his name? Santino Marella. He could wrestle.
He could wrestle.
It's okay to be a comedy wrestler as long as you can wrestle some. It's got to bother you if you are someone who can wrestle and you see that guy getting so much TV time.
Yeah, but I mean, as much as wrestling is about wrestling, it's about entertainment.
It is.
It's amusing.
No, you're right. Although the stress in AEW is more on the wrestling and not on the entertainment.
I agree.
But if you take the entertainment out of it, people aren't going to watch.
Yeah, but like, if you take
it's
the
just
ability
matches,
to sing out of music, like
well,
it's,
yeah, I know it sounds obvious, but if it's just, would you go to a wrestling event where it's just wrestling and there was nothing in between? Even the local stuff have storylines and things. You take all the storylines out and it's just wrestling. James is right. Yeah, Orange Cassidy can wrestle. And at first you wasn't sure.
He can.
You wasn't sure at first, and then he's had some killer matches. But he's also someone who's gotten better over the years.
100%.
And a whole lot of it, I think, has to do with who he's been working with. When you're working with big names like Jericho and guys like that, you're either going to be shown for a phony or you're going to find a way to shine, and he's done that. Wow.
Stream.
No. What you just sent me.
Oh, that commercial.
Yeah, Danhausen and Hook in the boat.
Hilarious.
That's great. Yeah, we were talking about Ricky Starks earlier in the office before the show. And how we're not sure about the face turn, how it will work for him. Let's ride.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Final segment of this hour. 1 hour to go. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it, kids? Roger Goodell has said that the Miami Dolphins did not tank. That the Miami Dolphins did not intentionally lose in order to get better draft position.
They didn't lose. They just sucked.
Right.
That's what he's saying. Okay.
Basically, Roger Goodell said the Dolphins were bad, but don't read into anything past the Dolphins were bad. Goodell said, quote, "The integrity of the game is critically important. I think the findings are very clear, and while tanking clearly did not happen here, we all have to understand our words, our actions, and implications, and we have to be careful," end quote. The belief amongst a lot of folks, and I honestly don't know where I fall on it yet, is that the only reason tanking didn't happen is because Brian Flores said no. So if you believe what Brian Flores accused Stephen Ross and the Finns of, then what Roger Goodell said is technically true, right? But that's like walking into the bank with a gun, threatening to rob the bank, and then seeing that there's a cop there and then leaving. No. You don't get credit and get to go, "Oh, I didn't rob the bank." Yeah, but the intent was there, and you made the effort. And it means you'll do it again, right? It means you'll do it again. So, I don't know. But the NFL leaning on Roger Goodell and going, "See, Roger said it didn't happen." Cool, I mean, I get it. But who's going to be outside of Stephen Ross the loudest voice saying it didn't happen? Of course it's Roger Goodell. With Deshaun and everything that's going on with Deshaun, the NFL has the ability to hammer down on that, pretend like it's not their problem, and they just say it's a Deshaun and Cleveland problem, right? Deshaun did a lot of bad things. Cleveland's effectively allowing him to get away with it. We're gonna hammer down on that. But if an owner in the league threatened to tank and was willing to pay his head coach to lose games, to throw games, at that point, that is a league problem, right? Even if it is just one owner that has been shown to do that, if it comes out, because keep in mind, the NFL investigated that, and the NFL has transcripts of the communications that Brian Flores provided between Dolphins admin and him. So if Brian Flores provided evidence that Stephen Ross offered to pay him to tank and provided that to the league, they're not gonna release that. Forget Deshaun. This would be the most damaging story to the National Football League because Deshaun doing what Deshaun allegedly did and being allowed to effectively get away with it and play more football. So that impacts Browns fans, sure. But this would be the first story in a minute that the integrity of the sport itself will be genuinely threatened, at least as far as I can remember, right? This would rank up there with the Chicago White Sox scandal of the 19 teens.
Black Sox.
Black Sox, sorry, good call. Good eye. This would rank up there with the Chicago Black Sox scandal of the 19, 12, whatever. It really would. It would be a threat to the integrity of the sport itself, which is why Roger's never going to admit that it happened up until the point that somebody puts out the actual literal empirical evidence that this definitely happened. So this doesn't change anything for me. Roger Goodell swearing up and down that Stephen Ross didn't do what Brian Flores accused him of doing changes diddly squat to me. Changes nothing. Goodell is the person who takes the biggest hammer to the noggin if somebody proves that Stephen Ross offered Brian Flores $100K to toss games away. So of course he's going to say it didn't happen. Of course he's going to say it didn't happen. I am going to say this. I am not going to say, oh, I believe Brian Flores. Because frankly, I don't know. I will say I'm not dismissing Brian Flores. And I will say that Brian Flores, by taking this all the way to court, has shown me enough conviction in the story that I'm willing to listen to the argument. Roger Goodell coming out and going, oh, no. We investigated and we definitely didn't find anything. That doesn't do anything for me. If the guy that rolled into the bank with a gun and then didn't rob it comes out and goes, I looked into the situation and I don't think I did anything wrong. No. That's not how this works, my dude. Not at all. So this changes nothing. I still have questions about it. I still hope one day that we get the full release of all the evidence in this entire discussion, and we can take it up from there. Quick break. 1 hour left, and we hit it hard when we come back. Rob Lonzo and you, this is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. James said, I still think about Danhausen popping up from the trash can. Him grabbing those bags of chips was fantastic. And him giving Hook a bag of chips gift wrapped for his birthday, I almost cried.
Yeah, then they took it away from us.
Yeah,
it's just,
I don't know why
gone.
you got rid of Hookhausen.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It's a good move, James. Yeah, Hook is now the what's the name of that championship that used to be Taz's championship that was Ricky Starks' championship? Hook came out and beat Ricky Starks for it. FTW, FT something. I can't remember. So they just said on CBS Sports Report that Tyson Fury is walking away from boxing.
Yeah, but now or after his next fight? Because he's got his next fight scheduled.
I think he said now. I'll have to look it up.
That's bad for boxing.
Thank goodness the Paul brothers are there.
Yo, there was football on last night, and ESPN is running the segment, should any position player eat more than the offensive line? That's their next segment. That's a segment they're doing. I mean, the answer is no.
I was going to say, what's your answer to that?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Our next topic, should any position player eat more than the NFL? To our experts, no.
That's kind of a radio topic, though. That's kind of. Yeah.
That's one of those topics that if we walk into it unintentionally, right? Like you and I go on tangents all the time because we walk into them unintentionally. I never write down those weird throwaway segments we do. I never write those down. They come up organically. I'm fine with that.
Tyson Fury says he will stay retired and walk away from boxing.
All right.
Tyson Fury said, "Wait a minute, Triple H is in charge? I'm done with boxing. Time to go WWE full time. Clash at the Castle, best place to bring out Tyson Fury. You're already over there. Oh, he lives here now, though, doesn't he?
Does he?
I think he lives in Vegas. Maybe not. I don't know. That world. I was watching a nerdy show the other day, and they broke out into a semantic argument, which makes me wonder, are semantic arguments actually only done by nerdy people?
I'm not going to say no to that.
Or you could say smart people, which I don't know why I'd be involved in any of those, but still. Yeah, I've seen it on certain movies, but I've never seen it on a TV show like what it was, and it was an argument over whether hummus was a condiment or a spread. I think it was.
Spread.
Yeah, it's a spread.
I mean, you can put hummus on things, like on a sandwich.
Which is what one of the people were doing, and the other one's like, no, this is a ketchup bottle. This is a mustard bottle. Those are condiments. That is a spread.
It's a spread that can be used as a condiment.
I believe I've had hummus before, but was not impressed. So
I like hummus. If it's made good.
Hummus to me,
you got to put some stuff in it.
But, the way my brain works, that's a hipster food, and I can't,
I can't enjoy things that people eat.
I'm anti-hipster. That's why I only wear flannel if I'm dressing up as Jason Voorhees.
The third, the final, the best of money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and Lonzo with you on a Friday, almost afternoon, baby. You're almost done. Hang in there, kids. Except Lonzo. Lonzo gets to work this afternoon, and then he's got the Upstate Pulse, which you can hear from 7 to 9 on our sister station, 106.3 WORD. You should definitely listen to it.
Is that working, though? Some people ask me that question. Yes, it is. I put in like 4 hours of show prep to use like one topic, and then things just go crazy.
Lonzo's like me. If I showed you guys my show prep, it's usually a couple of pages. And when I say a couple of pages, they're all hyperlinks, right? Like they're all links. But there's pages of links. And I get to 4 of the 29 to 33 I put together every day.
Yeah, I had like 135 comments last week. The way radio is now, it's not about phone calls. It's about social media, and it's about the text line. And
but still call us.
Yeah, but still, yeah, you can call us, 844-326-3663. I have to keep looking at the number because I still don't have it memorized. But I go where the people go. Rob goes where the people go, mostly. Rob goes more where the people go because I don't. I'm antisocial, but, there's that.
All right. Let's get some Panther stuff in here. I'll start with this. This came out earlier this week. Ben McAdoo, offensive coordinator, South Carolina Panthers, was, when Baker Mayfield came into the National Football League, very critical of the quarterback. Baker was criticized heavily by Ben McAdoo when he came into the league. And remember, Ben McAdoo had a lot of success predicting success of quarterbacks entering the National Football League. At the time that Bake was coming out from OU, Ben didn't have a lot of good things to say about Baker Mayfield. Now, he has changed that tune. He said, quote, Baker, since he's been here in the last 2 weeks, it's been pretty impressive. What he's done in 10 days of camp is pretty impressive. He's making real big jumps. He's got an edge to him. I like that. But you contrast that to what he said about him in 2018. Quote, he's going to lead. They're going to follow him. I didn't see a lot of pro-style football in his college tape, and if you're short, you have to be able to make up for it in some way, somehow, and personality doesn't do that. I didn't think he was a great athlete. The guy was kind of like a pocket quarterback that is short and with small hands. That's what I worry about. The small hand things, I'm so tired of it.
How short is he? I mean,
If he's 6 foot, I'm impressed. They've got him listed as 6'1", so he's 6 foot. You get an inch on the roster update.
I used to get like 4 or 5 inches, but
Yeah, I'm 6'7". Yo.
We used to look at the scouting report every week and go, wow, I got taller.
Yeah.
He does look kind of short, but he's not, like Oompa Loompa like Kyler Murray.
I can't with you.
Doesn't his face just appear in your mind when you do this? If you stick the bottom lip out, there it is. It's just like in your face, in your mind. I don't think he's that short. I also think it's easy to criticize somebody else, but once they become your guy, they're your guy. And do you have to backtrack and go, yeah, I looked at it wrong. He's really not what I thought he was because I didn't get time to actually work with him.
Imagine Ben as he is Baker's OC being like, yeah, he's undersized, he's got small hands. He's confident, but that doesn't mean he can play quarter. No. Hey, of course he's going to praise him. The question is it sincere or not? Right? Is it sincere or not? He went on to say that, quote, one of his strengths is command. He can lead a room. He can command a room. He can command an offense. He has a good presence about him. And, he's got fire in his guts. I've had that too. They make medicine for that.
Yeah, you did that when you went on that big food binge.
Cruise. Yeah. I had fire in my guts. He said, quote, the thing is for Baker, he's been in a lot of offensive systems going back to college and then coming through the pros. He's bright and he really works at it. That helps him. He's here very early in the morning, and I'm sure he's burning the midnight oil to get caught up. So the question is this sincere from Ben McAdoo or not? Right? There's no way for us to know. It's speculation. There's two ways. When someone writes a glowing review about someone else, it's either exceptionally genuine or it's covering something up, right? Most of us have had to get letters of recommendation in the past, right? And when I was back at my old station and I was in charge of personnel, of on-air personnel, right? I decided who went on air, when, why, etc. late in my career. And I would get guys who would send in, and this is why we busted so hard to do such a good show. There are days when I worked down at that station. That was a little bitty mom and pop station at the time. I'd get 6, 7, 10, 12 audio samples and resumes a day. Double digits every week. And a lot of them came with letters of recommendation, right? And you read through them, and sometimes you get to the end and you'd be like, oh man, this guy really believes what he's saying about this cat. And then there'd be times you read through and you're like, all right, man, right? It's like so full of cliche. He's a stellar worker. All right. I mean, that is what it is, right? Unless you're getting specific. Here's the thing. Ben McAdoo got real specific.
I hear that all the time. You're really talented. Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. How do I use that to make it turn into more money? That's all I want to know.
Yeah. There are people who get paid just to take those cliches and turn them into something that stands out, right? Anyway.
Usually when you hear, you're really talented, and it's usually a bad thing because it usually means, and we wish you well on your future endeavors.
You're fired.
Or basically, it's not you, it's me.
You're a great guy, Rob. And any woman would be lucky to have you in her life. It's like, check, please.
Or as I always heard, you're serious, but not serious enough. I never. I never understood that one. Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let me go ponder that. Why do you sound like Otis right now?
Ben got specific about what he liked about Baker, and I like that. I'm in Baker's camp. I think Baker is the right call for your starting quarterback, and I think Baker's going to be just fine in the Carolina offense. I think he's going to be just fine. I like that Ben McAdoo is going to bat for his QB. I think that's good. That's fantastic. They have also released their initial depth chart. And it's kind of interesting because there's a couple of spots that I want to see who earns the starting job over the next 3 weeks. The first one is left tackle. On the initial depth chart handed out by the Carolina Panthers, Brady Christensen is listed as the starter at left tackle. Brady last year had a okay year in his first year. A lot of talk about him being undersized, not so much in weight, but in reach, arm length, right? Arm length for the offensive tackle is the hand size for the quarterbacks. They've got Ike Ekwonu listed as the backup at that spot. Rashad Beard joined us yesterday.
It was yesterday.
I know. In my head, I'm like, what day is it?
Look, you started in the middle of the week this week, so I get it.
My whole schedule's jacked right now. Not only did I start in the middle of the week, but I started the day after I got back from vacation at 12:30 in the morning. My week is busted. And on top of that,
it's kind of like the same day, actually.
It really was.
Think about it.
It really was. I got off the plane at 12:30. It was the same day. And what's interesting about that, obviously, is that then I work Thursday and then I work Friday. Of course, I also work Saturdays because I've got my nationally syndicated show. I get one day off, and then it's back to the grind on Monday. It's a weird week for me. Anyway, Rashad Beard joined us yesterday. I said, what do you want to see? What do you want to see out of the Panthers in the starting government? Starting government. I'm reading the WORD text as I do this. I got to get a new text line. What do you want to see out of the Carolina Panthers in the start to their preseason? He said, I want Icky at left tackle. Well, he's not. Brady Christensen is. We're going to find out tomorrow if that says more about Brady or Icky. I'm hoping it's more about the fact that Brady Christensen has improved his game in the offseason and not that Icky's not ready. But the good news is by having Icky backed up, you've got the opportunity to have a little flexibility elsewhere on the depth chart. Taylor Moton over at right tackle is good. But if Icky gets to the point that guys like Rashad think he can get to, Brady on one side, Icky on the other might not be a bad combo. At quarterback, they listed QB1 as Baker Mayfield / Sam Darnold. And as of this morning, Matt Rule still will not tell us who the starting quarterback is tomorrow. Now, I will also tell you it does not matter, okay? For two reasons. Number one, Baker's the starter. But number two, these guys are playing 5 to 8 plays. That's all he wants. Matt Rule said I want 5 to 8 plays. I want you out front for 5 to 8 plays to start the game. Unless
this is a legitimate competition, which we don't believe it is. Unless it's a legitimate competition, what's the point in doing this? What is the point? Is this just a mess with the media or the fans or what? I mean, why do you do this? Unless it is a legitimate competition. And if it is a legitimate competition, then the Panthers are in trouble. Because if they're neck and neck, you could actually have Sam Darnold as your quarterback again this year.
First off, you don't believe that.
No, I don't. That's why I'm wondering why. Does the coach believe that?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Do you keep it a supposed competition just to see if you could bring some potential out of someone that you see there that maybe they're going to step up and actually prove you right for taking them in the first place? Talking about Sam Darnold, to prove that the chance you took on bringing Sam Darnold in last year was the right one, and he stands up and he shines and he's better than anybody else. Do you do it for that reason? I don't know.
I don't either.
And we only get, what's been seen in practice, the brief glimpses we see and the highlights we see. And I will say maybe it's because people like Baker more. I see more highlights from Baker throws than I do from Sam Darnold throws. And the other reason why is, has he thrown for over 7 yards this entire offseason? I don't know if he has.
I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no for this reason. Because if there's one thing that people in this gig love to do more than stir controversy, I don't know what it is, right? When I got here, the big boss said, your job is to create conflict, right? Your job is to create conflict. Now, the hope is that we can create conflict just by having an opinion.
Maybe that's why I'm still here, because I am conflict.
Correct. The hope is that we can create conflict just by having an opinion and stating it. And people go, it's a great opinion, I agree. That's a bad opinion, I disagree. Here's why, let's talk about it. But the media, they love conflict. And if Sam Darnold was putting up those highlight passes that make good video, Sam Darnold's highlight passes would 100% be shown on the media. Why? Because what's a better angle to cover the Carolina Panthers if you're in the national media than Baker v. Sam? It's a quarterback controversy. Well, Sam Darnold's out here spinning the beans. So is Baker Mayfield. What is Matt Rule going to do?
See, that's the other thing. That's the other reason why I believe Baker is a starter, but I believe that from the beginning is because the outright disdain for Baker all last year, he could do nothing wrong if the sports media who have decided that he is the devil had the opportunity to make it look like that further, they would. But they're not. They tried a little bit early on. There's a lot of Sam Darnold's better, but all that stuff went away. Have you noticed that? All that stuff kind of went away. Even the 4 letters stopped doing that because they can't do it and prove that that's the case because of all this stuff that we're hearing about what Baker's doing in camp and all the highlights that we're seeing. Yes, in camp, but still, if you don't throw good in camp, you're not going to throw good in a game.
I think you got a point. I'm intrigued to see what Rule does here. I'm not surprised he hasn't named a Panther. Panther. A starting quarterback. 0% surprised he hasn't named a starting quarterback. Why would he at this point, right? He doesn't have to. And there's a part of me that thinks maybe this is to ignite Sam Darnold, right? Like, Sam, we're trying to keep you in this, right? We're trying to give you a shot. Because if Matt Rule could turn and Ben McAdoo could turn Sam Darnold into a starting quarterback, Matt Rule still gets a win. Yeah, it took a year longer than I'd like, but look, guys, I told you he could be good.
All right, I've watched a ton of interviews between both of them because they interview them both. And Darnold just comes across as a guy who knows he's losing. And it's about attitude. Baker's good at talking. He's done commercials. He's done things like that. He's good at it. But there's just a difference in confidence. You're seeing one guy who looks like he's going to be the starter and one guy who's just, playing it out till the end, even though he knows he's not going to get it. It's like going in for a job interview in-house, and you already know, you've heard the talk in the hallway, you know who's getting the job, but you're going in doing the interview anyway, giving your best, even though you know you're not getting it. You still know you're not getting it.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. All that being said, Scott Fowler over at the Charlotte Observer, Scott Fowler said that in his opinion, Baker is not winning. He has won the QB competition. And I agree with that, right? I agree with that. Both eyes on and highlights. I completely agree with that. Then we got Christian McCaffrey. Matt Rule said, quote, "I'm not spending my time worrying about, hey, will Christian get hurt? We are thinking about Christian in one way only, and that's attack." My favorite lines from the first Avengers movie was early in the movie when Cap and Iron Man are on the plane, right? And they're going after Thor and Loki. And Cap says to Tony, "We need a plan for attack." And Tony says, "That is my plan. Attack." And then jumps out of the plane. It's the moment you're like, yeah, this is awesome. All right, so that's Matt Rule's attitude towards Christian McCaffrey. That is my plan. Attack. Matt, don't do that. That's my advice. Don't do that. One of the things, so I've got game track notes when I'm covering games, and obviously with the release, by the way, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, coming to Google and Stitcher soon, with the official dump of the Views from Mint Street podcast that I will be hosting, the official podcast about the Carolina Panthers from Odyssey. It's now on Spotify and Apple, so if you are a Panthers fan or a Rob fan, go to that website, do me a favor, download it, follow and subscribe to that podcast on Stitcher, Spotify and Apple. It'll be on Stitcher and Google Play soon. Anyway, I keep track during games I'm covering of play calling. Run v pass, inside versus outside, short v long, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that I'm very intrigued about following along with this year is I want to see how many times Christian McCaffrey is run between the tackles. Because it shouldn't be more than 3 times per game, honestly. And even that, because that would be ideally pre all the injuries. But now that you know that the workhorse has got a bad wheel or two, I mean, it should be 3 or fewer times that he runs between tackles. Christian McCaffrey is to the Panthers what Reggie Bush was to the Saints leading up to the Super Bowl win. Reggie Bush often gets labeled as a bust, right? Came out with a Heisman, Saints went all in on him before he ended up leaving after a ring, going to Miami and then Detroit. Was labeled a bust. But if you watch that Saints offense, he was not. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. His job was to create chaos for the defense because you line him up as a tailback. You can line him up as a second back. You can line him up as a wing in the slot. You can line him up anywhere on the field, and he's a threat anywhere on the field. Which means you've got to send your best defensive players to cover the guy, knowing that he's not getting the ball most of the time. Because the one time you don't, he is getting the ball. And he's going to split. McCaffrey needs to be utilized that way. In fact, in my opinion, Christian McCaffrey needs to be utilized more as a decoy than he does as a ball toucher. He needs to be utilized more as a decoy than he does as a running back or receiver. McCaffrey should not touch the ball on the majority of the plays he's involved in, both as a running back, a wing back, a slot wide receiver, or a wildcat quarterback. He should be used less than he is because part of the benefit of having a running back like an Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey is that you have to keep them covered up with your best player even when they're not touching the ball. And that opens up the field where other guys now don't have to worry about the best player.
Yeah, but how much do you have to give them the ball to keep the defense honest? Because if you go away from it too much, then they're going to be like, all right, they're not throwing the ball to him. They're not handing the ball to him. It's going somewhere else. I mean, what's the percentage?
Allow me to.
I agree it needs to be less,
yeah.
But how much less?
Allow me to nerd out again for a minute. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I told you guys about the Battle of Cowpens because I went up to the battlefield and I got to experience it. And I told you about how the reason that Daniel Morgan, the winner of that battle, was so good is because he knew his troops, right? And he knew how to utilize them. So the militia, untrained, undisciplined, went out front. And he said, look, 2 shots and then run away. And it worked. Suckered the British into a trap. After that was over, there was a race to the Dan River in North Carolina where General Cornwallis and Bannister Tarleton were chasing Morgan's army. So you know what he did? He split his army. He sent a small force down the predictable path to the Dan River. And then he took his main army, which was not ready for another fight against Cornwallis yet, a different direction. And Cornwallis took the bait. He followed him. He followed the small army, the distraction army. And that distraction army, by running away and making a lot of noise and doing it, and Cornwallis taking the bait, allowed Morgan to get his real army to and across the Dan River before the Brits figured out what was going on, turned their attention and chased them. By the time they got there, not only had they crossed the Dan River, but they had burned all the boats in the area, so the British could not cross it, right? Christian McCaffrey is your decoy. He's your secondary. You got to get the general on the other side to chase him so that your main element can get somewhere else. It's a good strategy. It works. And that's all he needs to be this year. I mean, that and a Pro Bowler. Take a break. We'll come back in a minute. Got some thoughts on the stream I want to address. Got a little bit. Is it, I don't know, is that thing we were talking about breaking news, Lonzo? Does it qualify for a glass shatter? I think it does. For boxing fans, I think it qualifies for a glass shatter. It's arguably the biggest news out of boxing since the last time he fought. And there's a hot take on the stream about it that I'm going to read. That's coming up next on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Charisma. Now, how many people haven't went to a video game and simulated everything just to see what would happen? That's what you do today, I suppose. Keep it classy, Keegan. I was just corrected on Facebook when referencing Children of the Corn earlier, I thought that it was He Who Walks Behind the Rose, R-O-S-E, and it's actually He Who Walks Behind the Rose, R-O-W-S, which also makes sense. It does. It's good to be corrected and it not feel like you have been belittled. I like that. Because they get corrected all the time. As well I should, because, wrong all the time. All right, not all the time, just sometimes. For those who ask if we're going to be crazy tomorrow night on the Upstate Pulse, yes, we are. I have no idea what we're talking about yet, but yeah, we're going to. Although we will be talking about possibly a couple of things that look like they may also be on the chopping block from DC, which I'm a little concerned about because one of those shows is one of my favorite shows. All right, that's going to be a question actually tomorrow on the Upstate Pulse. Because that could be bad. It's also a Twitter thing, so we can't expound upon it. Or I may have to cross it off the list. It's my fault. I brought it up. Keegan does this to me all the time. I have to cross stuff off the list. It's because we, are on the same line of thinking. Yeah, I'm starting to be concerned about it as far as the Discovery merger. But who knows? I mean, if you look at something like Batgirl and go, this is bad. This is going to be bad for DC. It's going to be bad for us as a company. It's going to be bad for the character. I'd rather someone go, nah, I'm not putting that out than put it out and it be criticized for 50 years. You have Harley in the next break, by the way.
Outstanding.
Did you say bacon bean?
Bacon bee. I like bacon.
I thought you said bacon bean. Yeah, that was not the best merger for sure.
We didn't talk about this when I did the Field of Dreams game discussion earlier. But when they got to the 7th inning, I'm coming to that in 2 seconds, but I got to put this out there. When they got to the 7th inning yesterday, they had hologram Harry Carey saying, "Take me out to the ball game," and I loved it.
Really? So you're not creeped out by that?
No, I thought it was great.
So you're not creeped out when they bring back artists like Tupac to do a part of a concert as a hologram? You're not creeped out by it?
I think it's awesome.
I think the technology is great, but it can be used for evil, Rob.
Sure, so can most things. But when they're used for good, that's awesome.
I don't think love can be used for evil. I don't think hope can be used for evil.
Sure it can. Their entire movie's based on people tricking somebody else to fall in love with them and take advantage of them.
It wasn't real love, though.
It was from the person who got tricked. But Harry Carey came out. I love it. And here's why I love it.
Harry Carey's about to be the face of all things evil. I mean,
when the real evil robots show up, they describe him as Harry Carey to disarm us emotionally.
It's just gonna look like Harry Carey.
Pull the trigger! I can! It's Harry Carey, and I love him!
Exactly.
It's a great strategy. Great strategy. Just dress up the evil robot army as characters we love from the past. I can't shoot Harry Carey, man. Anyway, I loved it. And here's why I love the hologram thing. Because there's always questions that go around on Twitter, and it lists all right, Prince, Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, or whoever else. Who would you, if you got one chance to bring them back for a concert, who would you want it to be? Here's the thing. With the hologram tech, we can give people experiences with greatness that they wouldn't otherwise be able to be outside of watching it on a YouTube
screen.
But
they're literally hollow.
It's not how that.
Good night, everybody.
Not how that word. Harry Carey is a legendary figure in baseball, right? Is there any other broadcaster that takes a break from the broadcast to entertain the crowd in the stadium? No.
All right, so Keegan says, I only think of Will Ferrell version of Harry Carey, and I didn't know who Harry Carey was till I saw Will Ferrell's version of Harry Carey.
If the moon were made of spare cheese, would you eat it? I know I would.
And my my buddy Patrick Brown, no relation to Rob Brown, does a mean Harry Carey.
Ah, dude, loved Harry Carey. Not even a Cubs fan. Loved Harry Carey. Right? So they had Harry Carey sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and I thought it was great. It was just a little bit of baseball nostalgia. I'm not saying I need it every single game, but in a game where they were featuring the importance of baseball to sports-centered families, in a game where they're giving you a nostalgic vintage feel of the game to remind you why the game of baseball is so damn great. To have one of the most iconic experiences in baseball with a hologram Harry Carey, man, I just thought that was amazing.
Come on, Lonzo. It's not Skynet. It's Harry Carey.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Ghost Harry Carey was amazing, right? Amazing. All right, let's hit that thing.
I don't know, because when you hint that it's that, is it really that?
Yeah, it's still the thing. Breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, get smarter, and beat the books with BetQL. And make sure that you tune in Saturdays from 1 to 5 to the BetQL network on fine Odyssey stations everywhere and on the BetQL and Odyssey apps for Bet for the Cycle, the nationally syndicated baseball gambling show that will win you money, hosted by Cody Decker and me. Tyson Fury.
That was a good amount of pause there. It really was. It really was. Bask in the glow.
I was trying to think of something else smart ass I could say, but I ran out of them.
Sure he was.
Tyson Fury has said that he is walking away from boxing. Now, Tyson Fury was set to have another fight. But on his 34th birthday, Tyson Fury said, "Bon voyage. I'm out. I'm done. Later." He sent out a tweet alongside a picture of him with Sugar that said, quote, "Massive thanks to everyone who had an input in my career over the years, and after long, hard conversations." By the way, this is in all caps. You know what that means.
It means he left his caps lock on.
"Massive thanks to everyone who had an input in my career over the years, and after long, hard conversations, I finally decided to walk away, and on my 34th birthday, I say, bon voyage." Because that wasn't in caps.
Where's the accent? I mean,
Because I can't do his.
Okay.
I can do generic British accent, but I can't do Tyson's. Here's a few who made special along the way, and of course he misspelled few, and all caps to everything except bon voyage.
How do you misspell? Are you going to tell Tyson Fury you misspelled few?
Yeah, what's he gonna do? Punch my head off my shoulders?
Yeah, maybe. How do you spell it?
Heres in this case, as in HERE''S, as in here is a few who made it special.
Oh no, the haughty.
That's not haughty. That's just basic English.
And
he's from England.
All right, so I'm just curious. it's in your nature to be haughty. That's just who you are. I mean, it's a 1%er thing. But do you turn off the haughty if there's a chance you get punched in the face by being haughty?
Nah.
You just can't?
Take the risk.
You just can't?
Plus,
Okay.
you know how much money I make if Tyson Fury punches me?
If you live.
I mean, granted, I'm coming out the other side with brain damage.
You do have to live and have an understanding that you're alive
But
afterwards.
if I can eat one and remain relatively cognizant on the other side of it, I'm never working again. Anyway, he says he's done. What's interesting about this is the timing of it. Yeah. And the timing of it is interesting because I thought we were about to hit arguably the best 6 or 8 months of heavyweight boxing we have had in a very long time. Because you've got 4 heavyweights at the top of the game right now. You've got 4 heavyweight boxers right now in Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. You've also got a 34-2 Andy Ruiz Jr. and an undefeated 14-0 Joe Joyce coming up the ranks very quickly that have a bunch of belts floating around. And heavyweight boxing was about to be at the best it's been in a very, very long time because we were going to get Joshua and Wilder. We were going to get Usyk and Fury. We were going to get the winners of those fights. We're basically about to have a 4-man tournament to find out the best heavyweight boxer on the face of the planet. And then you got Ruiz Jr. and Joyce coming up the ranks, ready to challenge the winner to take their throne. I thought we were about to get the best boxing in the world, and Tyson Fury's decided he's going to call it. He's out. He's done. Just kind of out of the blue. And it's his right. It's his right. Good on him if that's what he's ultimately decided is the best. But there's not... There is a tiny part in the back of my brain that wonders if what Seb says on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate or on YouTube by subscribing to The Rob Brown Show, you can watch all 3 hours of the stream daily behind the scenes and have exclusive conversations with Lonzo and I off the air. I wonder if what Seb said doesn't have a little bit of legitimacy to it when he said Usyk was about to beat him, so he walked away. Smart man. Now, I'll tell you, Tyson Fury would have been the favorite in Vegas on that fight. Not by a lot. He'd have been like minus 150, something like that.
See, I do not take for a second that Tyson Fury's leaving because he's ducking someone. That dude doesn't look, I don't see that guy being afraid of anybody. If he's leaving, he's just leaving.
But I guess that's the question for a guy that up until, weeks ago was in Vegas training, was talking about how he is boxing, how he is heavyweight boxing, etc. For him to make this call right before we were about to enter a period where he could have definitely proven himself. Because remember, Deontay Wilder, number 4 in that 4-man throne, Fury put him out months ago, right? So there's really only 3, and he had a chance to prove he's the best. And for a guy that talks a lot about how he's the best, for him to walk away without a farewell fight is kind of interesting to me.
Don't you? When you see someone who's so good as he is, don't you want to see them walk away before they're not that good anymore?
Yes, there's not a lot that hurts more than seeing a legend walk away in what we believe is their prime.
Especially in the fight game, whether it's UFC or boxing, because then they're taking a fight and they don't have that look anymore.
I agree, but an all-time great walking away after an L is not the same after an all-time great walking away after a string of L's clearly being inferior. Tyson Fury gets knocked out by Usyk or loses a decision to Usyk and walks away. You go, hey, man, that guy carried the division for years, and he walked away not being the best, but that's okay. He was still a legend, is a legend. Is another thing for him to walk away on top with the belts, which is what he's doing. And I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. Texas said Seb said I'm a big AJ fan, but Usyk is generational. I agree. Alexander Usyk's a man. That's why I wanted to see him versus Fury on the way out. Quick break. We come back. We wrap this week up. Texture says, fans sitting there explaining the Field of Dreams to my kid, which we're going to watch tonight. Harry Carey was awesome. Yeah, it was. Because if you're an older fan who watched Harry Carey, you got to share that moment with your kid. I didn't even have a kid. I almost wanted to last night so I could share Harry Carey with him. All right, we got to take a break. I can't even do it. We wrap up the show next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Be right back. Stream got to read. Oh. You're getting robbed this week, man.
Trying to go around your head, too.
Call him the trash man, ladies and gentlemen, because he's got to pick up a lot of trash off the ground. There it is.
Sometimes I forget I'm actually throwing daggers, and when I remember that, then I'm good.
Don't know my own strength sometimes. Braun. Zoe shoots like he's angry at the trash can.
Well, I'm practicing so when the apocalypse happens, if I come around the corner
When the Harry Carey bots show
up, when I come around the corner, I can nail that robot right in between the eyes, or zombie or alien, whichever one. Could be all three at the same time.
You know, we've been talking about axe throwing in the past. I saw a video last night from an axe throwing place, and I don't know where it is, but they had a guy come in, like an artisan come in, and make batarangs. So you can go to this axe throwing and throw batarangs. Yeah, like shaped them like the ones from the Dark Knight trilogy. So you can come in and throw razor sharp batarangs now.
I don't know. I think I'd rather throw one from Batman from Justice League. The one that he threw at Ezra Miller, that one. It's bigger. I think that would be, for me, that would be better. The smaller ones I might struggle with.
George Clooney batarang with the spinny wings on it.
Not sure about the aerodynamics for that, but you never know. It's just throwing stars. It's just shaped differently, but still.
Yeah, but it's cooler because they're Batman.
Oh, no, I completely agree. So I get to be in a wonderful meeting Monday where there's a lot of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
As we try to figure out how to solve a problem we've been trying to figure out how to solve for like a year now.
I mean, there are ways to solve it, none of which you have control over.
If that's a way to solve it, it would go to someone more deserving. That's the thing. And there is someone more deserving.
You're not wrong.
Who we might also be receiving a letter from pretty soon. And then
you're up the creek.
well, somebody is. I can only do so much, so I can't do 2 shows at the same time. Well, maybe I could.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't know I'm that good.
I got 2 hands. I got 2 ears. I got 2 eyes. I can do that. Just set me up a booth in the hallway. It's right in between both. I'm good.
2 headsets on. Don't care. I'm here to win.
Oh, engineering can put one show in one ear
Yeah.
and another show in another. Yeah.
All you got to do is change up the clock on both of them. Money.
No, actually, the clocks would work out fine because one would be going to break while another one's in programming, and so it'd just be just a whole lot of going to break. What do you do? I just go to break all day. That's what I do. All right, time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he tells everybody why they are trending. And it's the last one of the week.
By the way, I don't mean to jinx us. Well, I can't jinx us. It's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's done.
Did we have I don't think we had a mic slip up this week, did we? I mean, I was only here 3 days.
Yeah, you were only here 3 days. No,
I think we had a clean week.
There's no way to mess up now.
Yeah.
Because once we turn our mics off, we're done.
Don't underestimate.
Once we turn our mics off, we're done, at least for today. All right, the first thing that's trending is Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, so Shot Stapp at Fightful put up a report that WWE insiders believe that there is a potential.
By the way, you said Scott Stapp.
Sean. No, I said Sean, didn't I?
No, you said Scott.
Oh. They believe that there is a potential return of Bray Wyatt to the WWE, that the reason Bray was released was Vince just didn't get it and didn't like Bray, so he got cut loose, but that Hunter does, and they could be. The only question I would have there is, if they do indeed bring back Bray Wyatt, does he come back as Bray? Does he come back as The Fiend? Does he come back in the same gimmick with the Firefly? I had to tell you, I thought the ending of the Firefly Funhouse was a terrible decision, because Bray was phenomenal in a role that I think if 99% of other wrestlers took over, it would fail miserably. Bray was great at it. I hope he comes back, and I hope he comes back as The Fiend, because The Fiend was amazing.
I loved that he was almost as creepy as Mr. Rogers. Not quite, but that's who he was trying to emulate. And, you know, when there's true creepiness and you're trying to get there, but he's that good. I hope they do bring him back. And I hope he comes back as all those things, because he could pull off all those things at once. It'd be something different each time you see him.
The return of Muscle Man. Please and thank you.
Husky Harris, man. Bring back Husky Harris. He was my favorite. All right, the next thing that's trending is Danhausen.
Danhausen's trending.
Which started trending right after we talked about it off the air.
Danhausen trending for a variety of reasons. The first one, and I think the funniest one, is there's a video going around of Danhausen, who claims to be the inventor of the GTS, the go to sleep, which is the finishing move of CM Punk now. And Punk has played along with the gimmick that he did indeed steal it from Danhausen, so he owes Danhausen royalty. But instead of just giving him money, Danhausen drags him around to Comic-Cons and makes him buy. It's absolutely hilarious, because CM Punk just turns into Logan Wrestler, like angry old dad who's ready to leave, but Danhausen keeps looking at more comic books. Also, Danhausen and Redbeard teamed together. I'm in for it. And there was an AEW commercial card that nobody caught during the airing the other day that had a little Danhausen and Hook in a rowboat in the background. Just hilarious.
It's pretty cool. A couple people brought up bring back Bo Dallas. But he like is running a farm somewhere.
So the rumor is that Top Dollar is coming back and bringing Hit Row with him, and people were like, "Bring back Bo to lead that stable." Yes, please. All right, kids, that's it for us for the week. Hope you enjoyed it. I did. We're back here Monday to do it all over again. Jim Rum's got you next, and then Mark Ryan takes you all sides at 3 p.m. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. For Lonzo, I'm Rob, and this is the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Baker!
All right, dudes. I appreciate you guys. You're awesome. Have a great week.